Greetings, everyone. I'm Kathleen Masciana. The question before us is whether natural law is dead in the water or whether we still possess both a moral epistemology and a moral ontology to ground it. I would arguably say that natural law is not dead. It is being tested in new circumstances. We require both the ontology, which is the objectivity reality of human nature, and the ends toward which we are directed, and the epistemology, which is how we come to know these truths through reason. Natural law suggests that there is an inherent grammar to human existence. When we ignore this grammar, particularly in how we relate to one another and our environment, we experience a fragmentation of the self. The current debate surrounding technology and its impact on childhood, which has been reignited by Toy Story 5, the hottest movie of the summer and arguably one of the most significant films of the 21st century, provides a compelling case study for this particular question. The film introduces Lilypad, a tablet character, from the USA Today article published in 2026. I understand that she is designed to replicate a frog-shaped device, but she clearly functions like an iPad Air 2026. The filmmakers cannot explicitly reference Apple products because iPads and all Apple-related terminology are trademarked. Using these names without permission would violate intellectual property law. So the filmmakers created Lilypad as this frog-shaped tablet that can play games, answer questions rapidly, and communicate through a chat platform called the Pond, which is essentially functions like iMessage, WhatsApp, and other messaging platforms, allowing users to send text-based communications to one another. Parents across the country are using this film to initiate conversations about screens, free play, and what childhood ought to look like in an age saturated by tablets and AI chatbots. What is particularly significant is what Lilypad actually does in the film. As 8-year-old Bonnie becomes increasingly absorbed in her device, she grows more withdrawn, even as she appears to be connecting with more friends online. The article describes how Bonnie experiences cyberbullying through the Pond platform. Bonnie becomes addicted to the screen. This raises an existential problem in philosophy. When our social existence becomes mediated through screens, do we lose something essential about what it means to be human? The question of authenticity, of presence, of whether digital connection can substitute for embodied relationships. These are not merely practical concerns, but philosophical ones. Natural law has always that human beings have telos, an end toward which we are oriented by our nature. When technology begins to reshape the very conditions of our social existence, we must ask whether it is drawing us toward or away from the end. Notes that nearly 60 elementary school families attended the screening in New Jersey, organized by the Balance Project, a nonprofit aimed at helping children balance independence and mindful technology use. That attendance integrates a genuine parental concern about these questions. The film also touches on the phenomenon that has become known as the iPad kid. Toddlers and young children who seem perpetually glued to screens in restaurants, grocery stores, and airplanes. There is something almost communal about this meme, yet it points to a serious cultural shift. The article cites a Pew Research report finding 62% of toddlers under 2 watch YouTube, up from 45% in 2020, rising to 84% among children ages 2 to 4. These statistics reveal how rapidly childhood is being transformed. One family mentioned in the article had a specific rule for their children. iPads were only allowed on the weekends. This approach to balance resonates with me deeply. The article mentions a 10-year-old named Taylor who said she was only allowed to use the family iPad on weekends, a rule she sometimes finds frustrating. Taylor explained that some of her friends were on Roblox all the time and that she could only join them on weekends. That limitation was genuine frustrating for her. She wanted to play with her friends, but the rule kept her from joining them during the week. But after watching Toy Story 5, Taylor plans to bring back Rosie, a plush koala she once played with constantly, but which had sat neglected in a pile of toys. That genuine emphasis, the kind of balance natural law would commend. My own relationship with technology was complicated. When I was a child, I received an iPad when I was 12 years old. I didn't want to use it. I simply wanted to do analog things. My childhood was filled with playing with my toys, role-playing, being with my friends face-to-face, socializing, and having conversations. I believed throughout my childhood that technology would make a person lazy. I held on to that belief. I didn't even touch my first tablet until I was 14. I was in the 7th grade, and that was when I got my first smartphone and Braille computer. My technology teacher told me at the time, "You are 14 now. You need to start to learn how to use these tools." My technology teacher felt enough was enough, and I needed to get serious about using it. That was when everything changed. My technology teacher began training me on how to use these devices, and I started to grasp it. As the years went on, I blossomed into a true technologist. I took a liking to it. Now, as a graduate student at Holy Apostles College and Seminary, my iPad is essential to my academic life. During the week, I rely on it heavily to manage online classes, conduct research, and completing assignments. For a blind student, technology is not merely convenience. It is the primary means of accessing course materials and participating fully in my education. Yet, I also appreciate why balance is necessary. The article quoted Jamie Knight, who co-founded a Balance Project community, noting that Jesse's line in the film, "These devices, they are making them grow up so fast," deeply resonates. Still, Knight observed that childhood is already brief. We need not to accelerate it further. Yet, I also appreciate why balance is necessary. The article quoted Jamie Knight, who co-founded a Balance Project community, noting that Jesse's line in the movie, "These devices, they make them grow up too fast," deeply resonates. Still, Knight observed that childhood is already brief. We need not accelerate it further. Natural law speaks directly to this concern. Technology can facilitate learning and connection, but it cannot substitute for fundamental human goods, silence, contemplation, physical presence, the kind of friendship that develops face-to-face rather than through a screen. This is why I make it a point to go screen-free on the weekends. During the week, I use my iPad extensively for my coursework at Holy Apostles, but on the weekends, I disengage. I needed that time to step away from the digital realm and re-engage with what is concrete and immediate, with actual conversations, with quiet, with the form of presence that no device can replicate. This practice mirrors the weekend only rule that some families adopt for their children. It is a way for reclaiming something essential about human existence. There's also an irony that must be addressed. The article pointed out that while Toy Story 5 offered a critique of technology's harms, it simultaneously promoted tech products through product placement. Leapfrog released a tablet-style Lilypad device for ages 3 to 5, advertising that children could stay connected with Jessie, Buzz, Woody, and the tech trio by texting them using emojis and preset messages. This commercial reality complicated the film's message. As Sharon Brofman, a clinical licensed psychologist based out of New York, observed, this glosses over, if not erased, the important commentary that the film, I think, worked so hard to make about the harms of these devices on cognitive, social, emotional development, and mental health. The filmmakers could not save us from the very commercial forms they were critiquing. The market observes even its own critique. My favorite character in Toy Story 5 is Lilypad. I recognize this may seem counterintuitive, especially when critics like Sharon and Brofman argue that the film should have banished Lily rather than redeem her. Brofman continued that the ending oversimplified Lily's character arc, worrying that younger children would not grasp the nuanced critique the film offered regarding cyberbullying and mental health issues in children. Nikki Petrossi, a low-tech parent and advocate who hosts the Scrolling to Death podcast, similarly objected to Lily's moment of self-reflection and self-sacrifice, arguing that neither device nor their creators functions that way. They are designed to capture and hold attention above all else. But I read Lilypad differently. She was not evil. She was attempting to help according to her design. Woody declared that Lily is one of us, suggests something important. Technology has become integrated into our human environment. When I encountered Lily striving to connect and assist, I understand that impulse because I had lived it. I once resisted technology, believing it would make me lazy. Now I have embraced it as a tool that enables my education and my participation in the world. But I also recognize the dangers of losing ourselves to it. Natural law, then, remains viable. We possess both the ontology, the reality of what human beings are and what we require, and the epistemology, the rationale capability to discern these requirements. The existential problem we face is how to maintain our humanity in an age that increasingly mediates our existence through screens. The challenge is integrating technology into a life of virtue rather than allowing it to fragment us further. Lilypad is not the villain. She is misunderstood. But we must remain thoughtful about how we inhabit a world with these tools. I derived this information from a USA Today article titled, Toy Story 5 Reignites a Controversial Debate Why It Matters, published in 2026.